Hello, how are
Yay!
you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good too. Your puppy didn't turn up, and my dog is fast asleep snoring in the hallway.
Yeah, mine's under the table, so I think I'll just leave him there in case he starts to play up a little bit. But yeah, he's still a young one, so he's not quite trained just yet.
So how old is he? How old's Coop?
He is 14 weeks, so we only just got him when we went into level three. But yeah.
Do you know my dog is the same age?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, exactly the same. We picked him up at just before, like the night before it went into lockdown.
Oh my goodness, crazy. It's nice to have a companion at the moment, hey?
Yeah, I've just got some gnarly little companions that just they make my life crazy anyway, my little humans. So
Yeah,
maybe we
yeah.
should just grab our dogs really quick and then put them on. Shall we?
Where
Okay,
is
wait, let
he?
me just,
Yeah,
I'll just
let's
grab
do
mine.
that.
Wait, I'll be back in a second.
No worries. Cool.
Let's go, Bobo. Let's go. Oh my God.
What's that? Who's that, Goop? Who's that?
We're coming.
Say hello.
My
Hello.
one's a little bit bigger than Coop.
What sort of dog?
He's
Oh my gosh.
uh, say hi, Bobo.
Oh my
He's
goodness.
the same size as me.
Cute.
Say
Cooper,
hi to
look, there's
Coop.
another dog.
Look there.
Wow, he's big. Oh my god,
Look at
that's
Puppy.
amazing.
His name is Bonbon. His name is Bonbon, like a little chocolate treat.
Bon Bon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
See you, boy. Oh, God.
Say goodbye, Goop. Goodbye.
Okay, that wasn't weird at all, right?
Good boy. No, he's
Welcome,
good.
welcome.
You're right.
I've got a little bit of a workout
Thank
going.
you for having me.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
cool to have you. Hey, thanks for coming on. I'm so interested to read about your story and hear what you've been doing, and yeah, just your pathway into business, and
Mhm.
tell us about what you were doing before you started Real Rad Food.
Yeah, so I was at university essentially. Went straight out of school to university, and I actually did a geography degree, which is super different to what I'm doing now.
Wow.
But yeah, loved geography at school, so was quite keen for the university experience. So went and studied that at uni. But yeah, while I was at uni, worked in a few really healthy cafes and sort of fell in love with plant-based food from there. And then it was pretty much just I started an Instagram page and started sharing what I was making on there for the cafes and also at home. And all of a sudden, I finished my degree and sort of didn't really want to go into that field, but knew I had this Instagram account sitting there with a whole audience of people that were keen to buy a product off me, that had actually already started sort of buying a few cakes here and there. So sort of tested the market a little bit before I launched the actual business.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really just through a love of plant-based food and marketing online, I guess.
Wow. And what were you going to do with your degree anyway? Like, what was the plan? Like,
Yeah,
what were
I
you going to
know.
do?
My dad asked me the same thing. But the plan, yeah, the plan. I think I didn't really know the plan, but I thought, and it still, I guess, would be a backup. I really would think that I would enjoy the teaching geography.
All right.
But just because I loved learning it at school and I love children and all of that sort of thing. So possibly a postgrad diploma in teaching I was looking at doing, or town planning sort of stuff. But yeah, I really didn't actually have much. I didn't really have a vision for how I was going to use geography at the end of it, to be honest.
Was there a moment then when you thought, okay, actually, I'm going to turn this account into a business? You were already kind of selling stuff to people, but like, what was the moment that you decided to go like full on into it?
Yeah, so originally the handle while I was at university and just making the plant-based food and whatnot was actually called Balancing Hand. So it was sort of like I was wanting to inspire people to have a balanced diet, and more focus more on plant-based foods. So it was very personal to me, which Real Rad
Yeah.
Food still is definitely, and it's a large part of the brand. But there was a moment when I finished university and I was like, I want to really try and see how this goes in terms of the wholesale side of it to cafes and also the direct to customer sales. And I knew that then I had to really monetize the Instagram account, I guess, and that needed to be a whole different, it needed to be an actual brand and a brand name. So then at that point I was like, if I'm going to make this into a business, I need to change the Instagram handle, I need to get a logo, I need to actually do it properly. So from there, I guess coming off that, the question of how Real Rad Food's name came to be, don't really remember the process that much, even though it was only 3 years ago. But I guess living in Mount Maunganui and sort of a surfy, chill town, I wanted a word that was really going to resonate with the people here, because we were so, I guess, in amongst the local scene at that point. So yeah, then we became Real Rad Food, and then it all flowed from there.
I mean, plant-based is just like, you know, it's so on point to be plant-based right now, but you were obviously into it a long time ago. But where did your, you know, your interest and then, you know, that just adopting that as a lifestyle, what was the motivation for that for you?
I think a lot of it came from being, I guess, so into social media and so into beautiful, I guess, accounts and beautiful souls and people doing beautiful things on social media and having beautiful conversations. And it was, I just sort of fell into this world of people that were really passionate about plant-based living, not only for their health, the environment, the animal side of it, and all of that. And I really just, I think going to university, I felt so much change going on in my life. And then all of a sudden I found like this community on social media that I could connect with through a positive way of eating, and then also I just loved I loved being able to create beautiful food that was also beautiful for your insides, and then sharing that online. It was pretty much just through that. And then obviously working in a whole lot of plant-based cafes, you're surrounded by that sort of messaging and that sort of way of living anyway. So I just was really interested in the education side of it, and then what flowed on from there was what I put on Instagram.
Did you have any apprehension or sort of fears about entrepreneurship or like getting into that whole thing? Because it's, you know, it's kind of painted to be a bit of a hero thing, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I still 3 years on, I guess, don't massively, now more so than back then, but when I started Real Rad Food, I definitely wasn't sitting here being like, I'm an entrepreneur, like I'm here to like see the next gap in the market and have the next big idea sort of thing. I was purely passionate about social media and the products that I was making and how they looked and how they tasted and how the effects they had on your body. So I think I started it, and then from there was a lot of quick learning. There was a lot of realizing that what I had built was a totally different machine than I was actually equipped to run. So then it became a matter of bringing on advisors and I guess moving more into the role of a CEO, as opposed to someone who just worked in the kitchen for 14 hours a day trying to keep up with this demand that I'd created from social media. So entrepreneurship is a hard word for me to resonate with now, more because I can sort of read what my customers want, and I guess I do see gaps in the market now, and I provide those goods to them, and I guess that's sort of entrepreneurial. But back then when I started Real Rad Food, definitely not.
Yeah, we talked to so many people this week, and then like they've kind of, you know, these are super successful people, and they're just like, I suffered from like imposter syndrome and you know, all sorts of things.
It's a thing.
How did you get? Yeah, it's a thing, right? How did you get over it? Like, how did you overcome that insecurity around that?
I think that there's a lot of tipping points in business. So there's periods of growth, and you just sort of, you get there, and then you're like, yes, we've done it, we should be here for a while. And then you just keep going. And there comes a point, well, for me, there came a point, it was probably towards the end of last year, where I was like, gosh, like I have done this geography degree, I've built this business up to where it is now, but I don't have the skill set, or do I have the skill set or the tools to take it to that next level where I know it can go? And there was really a moment there where I was like, oh my gosh, am I built for this? Am I built to have these hard conversations with certain people? Like, I know I'm a leader of a team, but I don't know if I can navigate my way through food manufacturing and compliance. Like, there is a lot of times where I've sat in my office and been like, what have I created, and how do I, like, you know, and you definitely like, and I there's times where I'm like, I deserve to sit at this table, and there's times where I'm like, gosh, like, I'm the CEO, but I don't I'm walking through this as blind as anyone else, really. But I guess it's really sitting back and appreciating those times where you are like, I deserve to be here. I've worked so hard to be here, and what I've created has come to fruition because of my hard work and decision making that I've made. So really, I guess, taking those moments in, even writing them down, so that next time I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, like, this is a lot for someone who doesn't know, feels like they don't know a whole lot, I can refer back. But it's hard for sure.
Was there a moment when you were like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this now? I just cracked this deal. I just did this thing. Was there like a moment when you just like, okay, I feel like I can do it?
Yeah, so I think at the beginning of this year, I actually was lucky enough to get a mentor through a program called SODA. So SODA. They're a Hamilton-based company. Yeah, SODA.
Cool.
So I pitched and I got accepted into their Lift program, and I got a mentor who's based over in Australia, and he is absolutely incredible. Has done amazing things with raw chocolate over in Melbourne, and I think we started our conversation, and then we've been talking for about 4 months now, and going from where I was at the start of the year to where I am now in the business, I was so in it and I couldn't delegate anything. I was wearing every single hat, but now we've finally got me to a point where I don't manage the kitchen. I have a kitchen manager and I have an accountant, and, you know, just delegating those certain tasks. I can't even remember the question what you asked me, but I knew this was what you wanted to
But it's a good answer. It's a really good answer.
Yeah.
You talked about you got a mentor, and that's helped a lot to get you like over those challenges. And now you feel like
yeah, I think that there's definitely a point when in business where it's like you do need some advisors, and I definitely reached that point, and I felt before I got, I guess, my mentor, I felt really blind in where we were at in terms of growth, and I needed support and how we were going to get to that next level, and I knew that we weren't going to be able to get there, or we were going to make some pretty costly decisions if I didn't get that expert advice around me.
Yeah, but what you've done, like so many people commenting right now, just saying how inspired they are by your story, just like, you know, being able to pivot out of education and into business. And I think that's the thing, like, you know, so many people that we talk to, it's just like, it's tough, right? And it's hard, and it's tricky, and it's kind of, it messes with your emotions and all of those things. But like you say, if you got good advisors around, then that can help a lot, right?
For sure.
And so what's the best bit of advice that you've got from your advisor so far?
I think it would definitely be, I guess, he helps me really feel like I belong in the position that I belong in, and he does help me combat that imposter syndrome a lot. And I think a lot of it is just a soundboard between the big decisions that I make, because sometimes we, like, especially in the last 4 weeks, we are significantly, as most businesses are right now, changing our entire model, really. And so just having support around ideas has been incredible. There's also a lot of synergies between mine and his company in terms of how you scale a business that is making a relatively, I guess, new product on the market. Machinery is hard to, I guess, jump into when there's not a whole lot of research on what it does. And it's just making those calculated decisions. Also, I guess one of the massive things for me has been the financial side of the business. So I'm not really a numbers girl. But it is very important for me to be across the numbers of Real Rad Food. So I may not be creating the reports, but I need to be reading them and understanding what's going on weekly, monthly, quarterly, all of that. And I haven't done that yet because it was just something that I put into the too hard basket. So delegating that and getting those like core processes in place has been a massive weight off my shoulders and allowed me to again sit back in that CEO position and that new product development position and be moving the business forward, as opposed to being stuck in the things that I'm not very good at or the things that feel clunky.
You strike me as a person that's got incredible work ethic, because we kind of glazed over it, but you don't get the type of distribution that you had and you have inside of your business with all the cafes and stuff and all the food that you're selling without a lot of hard work and work ethic. Where does your work ethic come from?
Yeah, honestly, that was something that I think is like nature versus nurture. I think I was always like that. Like even in high school, like studied so hard for everything sort of thing. Like always
for geography.
Yeah. Always wanted to like do my best in all my sports teams I played in. I think that was something that I've always just sort of had inside me. And I think that has been one of the key things, I guess, for owning a business. I think without that work ethic, like you have to work so hard when you, I guess, especially in a startup, right? Like you've got no funds. You're just trying to make a slight profit so you can put it back into the business and you can grow. So to get that, you have to work and you have to be ready to sacrifice. Like the first year and a half, I was 100% on my own in Real Rad Food, doing everything from kitchen production to dispatch to all of it, really. My whole life was really consumed by it. But at the time, like it was no issue because it was my dream and I was ready to work hard for it and I was prepared to, I guess, sacrifice a lot. But being in the trenches makes you so appreciate when you're out of them.
Yeah. But like, you know, you're doing this at an age where most people are just trying to get that paycheck and party on the weekend. But your priorities are kind of different.
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think I am, I guess, like a bit of an opportunist, and I saw that there was an opportunity there and it was too good not to give it my best shot, you know. And like as soon as we started like seeing the wheels going in terms of the business pretty early on, like we've made a profit from the first month of trade, it was really like, and I guess my family around me and my friends were all very supportive of me pursuing something that I had done on social media for 3 years prior to starting the business. So I knew that there was an opportunity there, and to me that was more exciting than going on the weekends. Don't get me wrong, definitely still have a good time with my friends on the weekends and do those sorts of things. But you work hard, play hard sort of thing.
You know, one of the things that you've done incredibly well is you know, you've, like, so many people struggle with social, or so many people would like to know how to use social, you know, for the benefit of their business. But like we had Kale on last night and his company, they helped to launch TikTok, right? And so, and then everybody that's been on this week that have been successful with social have just concentrated on really serving a small group of people that were passionate about that particular type of thing that you're into. And that's pretty much what you've done as well, right? Yeah,
definitely. And although it is centered around essentially a plant-based slice or a rad ball or now a protein powder, there is so much, there's so much unity in the community around Real Rad Food. And that was such a testament from when we went into lockdown, and having that, although we couldn't essentially get a physical product to them anymore, the community was still showing up every single day, whether that be an Instagram live or a message or anything like that. So it's been, although like some people who have followed us for years may not have bought a product from me, and I don't mind. It is about connecting with like-minded people around a positive message, and that is what Real Rad Food aims to do.
Yeah, and it's so good. Like, what was because like so many people on here just going, oh yeah, my balls just arrived, I just got my bliss balls. Like, but what was it like having to go into lockdown and, you know, faced with like so you stock a lot of cafes, right? And they're all closing. And so, you know, what was that moment like when you were coming to terms with what lockdown was going to mean for your business?
Yeah, so I remember those, I guess there was like 3 days before. I feel like it all happened so fast, sort of thing. Like we were all
Yeah.
of a sudden in level 3, and then that was the scariest and most stressful time for me because I didn't really understand what was going to happen. It was like the unknown that was stressful, and cafes at wholesale had already started dropping off, and I was like, oh, this is quite nerve-wracking because wholesale was about 50%, so wholesale to cafes about 50% of our revenue, so that
Mm,
was scary. And then it was like, what happens at level 4? Like what happens to my staff at level 4? And then there was all of a sudden talk around, oh, like, but you produce food, so maybe you're essential. And I'm like, but if I ask myself, is a rad ball essential? I can't answer that honestly, so I'm not actually essential. But then your competitors
mm,
stay open, and then it's like it was a really hard decision making around that time. But as soon as level 4 was announced and
mm.
the wage subsidy was announced, and I guess we were educated more on what level 4 was going to look like.
Yeah.
I, from that moment, I guess, made some tough decisions, but some really clear black and white decisions for what Real Rad Food was going to do in level 4, and we weren't going to
Yeah.
waver from those decisions. And I made that from
Yeah.
day one, so that
Yeah.
we could all, myself and my staff members, could go into lockdown with a clear idea of what was going to happen.
Mm,
And what that looked like for us was we were going to shut, and there was no way we were going to open in level 4 because we were there to support the government's efforts to crush COVID. And as a company, yeah, it wasn't a question. And I had that conversation with my staff, and we left it at that. And to be honest, those 4 weeks in lockdown
wow.
they were amazing. Not only to be able to connect with our community like that and have no underlying sales bit to it, because there was we
Yeah.
weren't selling anything. The website was shut.
Yeah.
So everything I was doing on with the community was purely because I love what I do in Real Rad Food and what we do on social media. So there was a real like trust there, which was awesome to cultivate and to foster over those 4 weeks. And also, like, a whole lot of new product development happened over those 4 weeks, and that sort of stuff is invaluable, you know, like to have that clear space to think, and to have the support of the government to keep my staff members feeling stress
Mm,
free over that 4 weeks was, yeah, it was like to be honest, I have enjoyed the learning experience and the whole I've learned so much through level 4 lockdown
I have
and
to
what
admit,
it
man,
means to be a business
you
owner.
gave me the goosebumps when you did that whole support the government and erratic. That's so inspiring. Like that's a big, tough stand to make, because when your competitors are trying to figure out the hustle and to get around being essential and from being not essential, you're just like, nah, we ain't doing that. We're gonna stand
Yeah,
by
and
the
it is.
government.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to see that, because you can't help but think, oh my goodness, like, but like we like if they're doing it, like, does that mean we should be doing it, even though I know in my heart that I don't want to be doing that? And then even getting messages from people being like, why isn't your website open at the moment? Like, you manufacture food, aren't you essential? And then having to justify to people that no, we're actually not essential. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a bit like, yeah, but best decision, one of the most proudest decisions I've made as a CEO, 100%.
Oh, that's incredible decision. You should be incredibly proud of that. As
Mm.
you like, so many people right now are just so inspired by that stand.
Oh, thank
Like
you.
I can't even believe there aren't enough characters in this word count to explain. You are so inspiring, Hannah.
That's so
That's
kind.
just, yeah, that's just so amazing. Good on you, because a lot of people were trying to hustle that. What value? What's the personal value or the business value? Does your business have some values that made you stand by that decision? Like, obviously you saw a clear line. Was that value
Mm.
inside of you that gave you the confidence and compelled you to do that?
I think it is unity, and it is unity as a nation to do what is in the best interest for us long
Oh,
term. Because
God.
yeah, I think it extends from what we have in terms of our brand online to what we want for the country long term. And that at this point, it was beautiful to see the country come together like we did, and to see our top decision makers making these amazing decisions and supporting small business to be able to make the same decisions.
That's just so great. I saw a whole bunch of people in here just getting totally pumped on that. I know I'm totally pumped. I just feel like I don't want to leave this moment because it's so cool. But when you've obviously got into that situation, did you get all your subsidies and all of that sussed out and just correct your business model? And, what were those kind of practical things that you did in the midst of that?
Yeah, so we applied for the subsidy. It took us a really long time to get the subsidy, and that was actually very stressful. So I was, paying my staff, but we still hadn't had the subsidy come through. But I was like, everyone else is getting it. Like, surely we can get it. But so we ended up getting it. And so that was like a massive tick, and it was like, we will be fine. Well, like my staff will be fine. I got in touch with my landlord. Actually, they got in touch with me. I have a really good relationship with our landlord. And they gave us some rent relief, which was really awesome and really kind of them. They actually also extended it for another month, even though we're operating now. That was a massive relief. I pretty much wrote down all of our essential expenses, and I was like, how much money do I need to have in the bank to be able to pay these for 12 weeks, essentially, if this goes on for 12 weeks. And having that number in front of my face was far less daunting than sort of thinking in my head what it could be. So that was what I did in the earlier stages. And then just made sure that I sat down with my staff and really said that we were going to survive this, and that we were not going to waver from our decision, though, because I really didn't want them to be seeing certain people on Instagram operating and being like, why can't we operate, sort of thing. So I explained our thought process there, which they were super stoked to be a part of. And then what else?
What else I'd like to know is that in the middle of shutdown, like one of the biggest questions we got on Manaaki was, I'm shut down. How do I stay in contact with my customers? What do I do right now? Like, what did you choose to do? Because you, like many people, just like shut down and just like, they absolutely had to. You made a conscious decision that you were going to support the government and their stand on eradicating COVID. So, like, what was your plan to keep your people engaged, and how did you execute on that? Like your community?
Yeah. So we, from the get-go as well, I made several statements as to why we were closing, and got a whole lot of support back from that decision making, which was awesome. From there, I did a 2-week calendar for actually I started off with I posted up saying Real Rad Pantry Essentials, and I said, guys, we're going to be doing some home kitchen stuff in terms of demos on lives, and we'll be giving you the recipes so that you can make treats at home, because we won't be sending them. So don't rush to the supermarket, but next time you're at the supermarket, maybe get a few of these so that over the next few weeks you can join us in these. The following day I did a calendar, and we planned in 3 live recipe demos and IGTV things per week, and I posted up, and every night before that I would start a countdown. I was like, join us tomorrow for this, here's the recipe, can't wait to see you, blah, blah, blah. And then, people started joining in on these live recipe demos, and we literally had thousands of people remake these rad balls, and everyone was just so appreciative of the fact that we were giving out recipes, because we don't normally give out our recipes. Like, it's pretty important IP to us, as you can imagine. To be able to do that was far outweighed any concerns I had, and I guess create that deeper level of relationship where I wanted to support what they were going through at home, and like bring some happiness into their kitchen was more important than us keeping the recipe for one limited edition ball, sort of thing.
Oh, you're a good human. You're a top-notch human, aren't you? Good on you.
But
hey,
like,
one of the things,
in saying that, like, it kept me sane. Like, although I wanted to give back to the community that had supported us before, and that I was hoping would support us after, like, doing those lives kept some structure in my day, and kept me thinking along the lines of, what does this community want? And then kept me thinking along the lines of, what can we give them when we get back, So it keeps the wheels moving. So it was good for me too.
Some of the people that are just so focused on social, one of the things that you notice is that they have such a focus on their community and their customers. Do you think that's what's, one of the things that has helped you?
Yeah, I feel like I know my customers like the back of my hand because I'm talking to them every day, sort of thing, and without having that knowledge on what my customer wants, we wouldn't be creating products that sold out in 2 minutes online. So
Two
having that
minutes.
knowledge on,
Wow.
yeah, so yeah, we our protein powder when we came back online after level 4 sold out in 2 minutes, which was crazy.
I wanted to ask you about the protein powder. So, a hormonally balanced protein powder, right? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it's essentially a pea and hemp plant protein powder, but it has 3 adaptogenic herbs, which are shatavari, ashwagandha, and maca. And so those herbs all help to sort of regulate cortisol levels, help stress levels, PMS, all of that sort of womanly stuff that goes on. Adaptogenic herbs are just really good for the nervous system, so we've just included some of those in there, and we've had some like amazing feedback on how people are going in terms of cycle regularity, cramping during cycle, and all of that sort of stuff, which is super exciting.
Amazing. And so, where did the research from that come from? Because we're talking about you just, talking to your community all the time, and like just break down that process in the background of like how you thought about coming up with this product, and then all the ingredients. Like I know you just spit stuff out like it's just I just did this and it's just amazing. But it's like
Yeah.
behind it is a whole bunch of work, and so I'm
Yeah,
just interested to hear
100%.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I opened up a conversation in regards to my journey with hormonal health and cycle irregularity, probably about maybe 2 years ago on Real Rad Food, and had an overwhelming response of females experiencing similar things. And so through that, I started working with a dietitian who was sort of helping me to improve my hormonal balance through foods and all of that sort of stuff. And one of the major things for me was I wasn't eating breakfast, and that's actually really can negatively impact women's hormones quite a lot. So I started doing that, but had never really been a big breakfast person. So started having smoothies. And in those smoothies, my dietitian was really keen for me to make sure that I was including protein. So I was starting to look at some different protein powders, and I really wanted a clean protein powder that was a plain sort of flavor that I could add into smoothies without having an overwhelming taste. So that was sort of firstly where I was like, I really want to create like the perfect protein powder, because I feel like my community would love it. They're always asking for the recipes in my smoothies, and I feel like people would love this product. And I was like, well, I'm always talking about the issues that I have with hormonal balance. Why don't we try and create something that has more of an emphasis and a more functional purpose for people that are experiencing problems with hormonal imbalance? So went back to a nutritionist and was like, how can we start to incorporate some of these herbs that I'm also putting in my smoothie into a protein powder formulation? So we just started playing around with some of the herbs that she had recommended to me, and some of the protein powder blends, and then I got in touch with a manufacturer, and then we sort of went from there. But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy journey, one that was about a year in the making before it actually came to market. But yeah, I feel so much more educated around it than I did 2 years ago. So it's awesome to be able to start to have that conversation with some experts behind me again, because I feel like that's really important, especially when you are talking about a functional product.
Yeah. And because, I mean, I know so much of, plant-based eating. We actually have very little diversity in the plant food that we eat. And we're working with a client right now, and she's designing an entirely food-based, herb-based, natural food and herb-based cure for women's migraines. And who would have thought that you can do that just with food? But it's absolutely amazing. And she's like, I think it's like 24 women from around the world. They've figured out that there's like 12 different types of migraines. One's behind the side, one's to the da, 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 da. And just with food, you can actually, she's 100% success rate in eliminating migraines. And they're so crippling for so many women around the world.
Yeah.
And so I guess like the same thing for you, right? You sold out in 2 minutes.
Yeah, so and it was again probably a massive part of it was so we launched the protein powder, which again was so stressful about level 4 lockdown because we had been working for a year on this protein powder. I had done a whole launch strategy with a copywriting specialist on how we were going to launch it, and we had done email marketing and all of this sort of stuff, and then we launched 2 days before lockdown, and I was like,
Oh,
no one's
wow.
going to buy this. Like, this is the worst timing. I can't believe it. But we had like a really great launch and I was stoked. So we got those protein powders out, which was awesome because it meant that people could enjoy it over the lockdown period. And we did a few protein rad balls, and we did some protein smoothies and protein yogurt bowls and pancakes and all of this sort of stuff while we were in lockdown. So everyone was super keen to try it. We also had a lot of feedback come through from people that had received it before lockdown, talking about the amazing, I guess, effects that it had had on their hormonal balance already in the space of 3 weeks. So we shared those, and yeah, I guess a combination of all those things meant that people sort of went crazy for it, and now we can't get our hands on it quick enough, really.
How does it feel to be actually producing a product that's helping women with their bodies?
Yeah, like my passion project. So it has been awesome to be doing the slices and the rad balls for so long, but to be
Mm,
doing something to be adding this into the Real Rad umbrella is a
mm.
step in the direction of where I want us to go, which is so exciting. And to have the response that we've had from it is, yeah, awesome, an awesome feeling.
When you think about the things like the lessons you've learned during this lockdown time, what are the things that you think you're gonna take with you going forward?
Probably to continue taking time. I
Mm,
think that the time we were blessed with in the level 4 lockdown period, if used correctly, was so valuable. So I really want to continue taking time to think and to also really authentically connecting with the community, that isn't involving just talking about products we sell, but what they want and what they're, I guess, yearning for. What else am I thinking? I don't know. It's probably the main one. Time, taking time.
mm. Do you
It's a
have you had
crazy.
any? No, go. You go.
It's been I think maybe if I think about that question again in 6 months' time, it'll be a different answer. But yeah, we're living in a crazy time that will go down in history for sure. And being a business owner in this time is, yeah, absolutely nuts. But yeah. I'm just grateful that we're in a position where we haven't had these massive overheads, which have made us sort of be bleeding money. We're very lucky for that.
Mm.
But in saying that, we have built Real Rad Food to not be exposed like that. So I'm also proud of that.
So when you look like to the future of Real Rad Food, what's the vision now? Has it changed because of COVID, or are you just like back to business as normal, or like so? How are you thinking about this whole situation now? I know a lot of people have just like they've taken on a greater element of care, or they've like you've said, just acknowledge that they've probably been too caught up in it, and they're going to take more time. But when you think about what the future of your business looks like now, is it different from when you went in before?
So slightly, because Real Rad Food at this stage is pretty much, yeah, 50% online direct to customer and 50% the wholesale side of things, which just goes directly from us to the cafe. So we have cafe clients. But Real Rad Food essentially was pretty much, the online side of it is pretty much very well set up for something like this. So we have a seamless online ordering and delivery service, which is great that we have because we can do non-contact deliveries all over New Zealand. So continuing to operate that as we are, and we're actually seeing massive growth in that right now, which is really awesome. And I think a lot of people are buying food online because they don't want to go out as much, which is great.
Absolutely,
Um,
yeah.
in terms of the wholesale to cafe side of Real Rad Food, it will be interesting. I'm praying and crossing my fingers for our cafe and hospitality friends that we get through this sooner rather than later, because I can't even imagine how stressful that would be, having a brick and mortar store right now, and those sort of barriers and those sort of, I guess, expenses coming up against you would be very stressful. But I'm hoping that they can get up and running, and then we can support them with getting our products back to them and also promoting them through our social channels, because I do know that that supports a lot of our cafe clients. Really want to scale the wholesale side of Real Rad Food through a more distribution sort of model. So we're hoping to get on board with some larger distributors that can get our product through New Zealand cheaper and quicker, because at the moment frozen freight for us is really expensive, and it means that it's really expensive for cafes. So hoping to scale up in that side of things. And yeah, hoping to get our retail product into supermarkets really soon, because as soon as we went into lockdown, I was like, if we are like missing a whole sector of the market by not showing up in that supermarket sector, and I want Real Rad Food to be a household health brand, and if we had shown up in the supermarkets through level 4, we could have still had something to hold on to, you know. And that might not be something that we make in-house, but it will be hopefully something that it'll be something that our customers can be really excited about and can buy at a really affordable price. But yeah, that's sort of where I see the next year or so going. I am so confident about what the future looks like for Real Rad Food, and I feel like we will continue. This is an opportunity for us to be better, and we will come out of this stronger because of the decisions that we've made. And I'm just excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that excitement
comes through
for
again,
sure.
you know?
Yeah, let's get in there. You're going to get into the kitchen again after this? You're going to get back in the kitchen and start making stuff?
Yeah, so I was in there with the girls last Friday and Saturday and Sunday, actually. And it was, because obviously when we had so many orders come through, and then it was like, oh my gosh, we have to produce all of the stuff. So yeah, it was hectic, but at the same time, it just reminded me of like the glory days when it was just me. But now I've got this wonderful team, and we've got this beautiful factory, and everything's so much more efficient. And I just look around and I feel so proud of them doing my job better than me, which I never thought would happen.
Every
nice.
leader thinks that, right? Every person that's come up on their own has thought that, no, man, no one's ever going to be able to make this ball like me.
Yeah.
But it's really cool when somebody can do it better.
100%.
Hey, just talking about your cafe customers and all those guys, we know that they've been doing it really tough. You're somebody that's really nailed social media, and once these cafes and eateries open again, what sort of things or what sort of tips of advice you could give them to help get wheels back on using social? I know there's been some incredible initiatives, like SOS Cafe has been really good, SOS Business, to help people pre-buy stuff, but it's not like really, some cafes, it's not really their thing to be online. A lot of them aren't really that active in social. Like, what advice would you give to those guys?
I feel like it now more than ever is so important to be at least showing up there. As I think a lot of people, I guess, and a lot of millennials, I guess, as you may want to call them, are looking up a cafe's Instagram before they go there. So even if you just make sure that you have a social media account at least, and then just getting some stock photos, if it's not your thing, getting stock photos and making sure that your menu, photos of your menu and some of your dishes and your vibe, your ambience is online, so that people sort of know what they're in for, because people trust what they see online, and they want to be able to see it before they make their decision. If you are into social and you are wanting to grow it or show up there more, I would show up more consistently. So maybe introduce your team, introduce the favorite dish, maybe do a behind the scenes of a chef making that dish. I also said on our social, when I got asked the same question on my personal page, don't underestimate the value that giving out the recipe of like your famous hollandaise sauce will do for your community and for your reach online. People will really appreciate the, I guess, what's the word? You're being generous with your IP. don't think that it's going to deter people from coming to buy your eggs Benny. They will still come, and they will feel more grateful and more inclined to come once they are seeing your name pop up in their head when they make that hollandaise sauce. You know, you just want people to be thinking of you. How can people be thinking of you more often? And that is showing up on social, because right now people aren't going out everywhere. Print media is not the best way to go. So
Yeah.
not only maybe getting someone, there's plenty of people that manage social accounts, but also maybe you have a waitress in your cafe that is really into it and would love to do it. I know that I handled a lot of social accounts when I was working for these plant-based cafes, because it was something that I really enjoyed doing and that I was quite good at doing. You know, like I knew where the lighting was good, and I knew how to hold the plate. Like there's things like that. Talk to your team, ask for what they think that you should be doing to be keeping social interesting. Feeling the waters.
And what about, I know there's a lot of young entrepreneurs out there, or young people that want to get into business, right? You made a bold move. You stepped out after university. You ditched geography and your dreams of being a geography teacher to start a business. What advice to those guys that are like, just have that urge to follow their passion, but really maybe a little bit hesitant in taking that first step because, you know, a career's solid and there's no risk, and like, I'm going to get a paycheck, but a business is not, but like, I feel passionate about this. Like, what advice to them? What advice to them right now?
I think really acknowledge the fact that it is a true gift to have a passion for something. I know so many people, and especially young people, that feel so lost because they don't feel like they have that passion or that, I guess, drive to go in any direction. So the fact that you have a direction in your mind is a great first step to, I guess, a successful business idea, because without that passion doesn't come the work ethic or the determination to succeed. You know, like that is the foundation of any good business idea and any good entrepreneur, really. From there, I would say there is no harm in testing the market through something free like social media. For example, Real Rad Food was essentially operating for 3 years before we took it to market, and we had an audience there waiting to buy a product from us, you know. So as soon as we launched, they were there waiting. So maybe building up a bit of an online audience before you do your first big order of yo-yos. Starting a conversation online and seeing people's interest. Going to local markets is what we did. So I would stand at a local market on a Saturday. Sometimes I'd go to Hamilton on a Sunday morning and be back here on a Sunday afternoon for the farmers market. Like, I just went and tried to get the brand out there to as many people as possible. But yeah, be ready to put in the work, and be ready to get up 1,000 times 10.
You know what's been really cool this week is we've had people from just around the regions in New Zealand coming on. Shane Hunter, who has the biggest supplements wholesaling company in the country, and he's based out of Palmerston North. You're based out of the Mount, Tauranga. Like, you know, what advantage do you see to being out in the regions? I mean, so many people, you know, especially Aucklanders, are preoccupied with Auckland, but, you know, you're building a really successful business out of the Mount, the Tauranga area. How do you think that contributes to your success not being in Auckland?
Yeah, well, I think that our cost of living, like especially rent, is, I think, a lot more achievable here in terms of commercial spaces, which is a great positive for being in business in Tauranga. I love the lifestyle here. I feel so blessed to live here. It's like a 5-minute walk down to the beach, which is an awesome, great additive to being a busy person, but also having the opportunity to live a more relaxed life on your weekends. I think also the fact that we aren't brick and mortar, so we don't have a retail store. We could be based out of anywhere we wanted, and I couldn't think of a better place to live than here. The Mount is an amazing community of people, and so many entrepreneurs actually, and people doing their own thing. So it's really inspiring to live here. But yeah, we send our product throughout the country, and we could do that from Ashburton if we wanted, and we could service the cafes that are on board with us as well from anywhere we wanted. But yeah, I chose Tauranga because I love the lifestyle. I lived in Auckland for 3 years, and I'm just not a big fan of traffic, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I bet you there's heaps of people in Tauranga. I feel like you were making your speech to run for mayor.
Yeah. I know, because I'm like saying this, and I'm like, but also don't all come rushing here because this is our little oasis.
Yeah. Hey, Hannah, it's been so good to have you on. Thanks so much for all of your time. I know so many people have been super inspired by your story, but also got a lot of great information on just how to do it. And you are inspiration on so many levels. Congratulations on all your success. And we look forward to eating some of your yummy food real soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to talk to you. I really enjoyed it too.
Awesome. Thanks, Hannah. Real Rad Food.
Thanks.
Go get some. Oh, shout out the website and stuff while you're here, just before we all bail.
www.realradfood.co.nz. Follow us on Instagram at Real Rad Food, Facebook. Don't have TikTok, should probably get it. Maybe I'm too old, don't know.
Cool, Hannah. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. How cool is that? Real Talk with Pat, Mac, and another real great business. She's so inspirational, right? How amazing is she? Wow. That whole, I'm going to stand by the government and stand by everybody. And that was so epic. Shout out to everybody that joined us tonight. Thanks for being on. Massive audience. Tell everybody again, come join us. Also, talking about natural yummy food. I've just been drinking these because they gave me a whole bunch of freebies, not paid or nothing. But Foric, it's a natural energy drink. It's yummy as. Should go try it. I'll catch you back tomorrow. Hey, sorry, before you go, we're on Facebook tomorrow. That's right. We're doing it on Facebook tomorrow because we have Sarah on, who formed a New Zealand-made products group that's got like 389,000 people on it, and they're doing such a great job. I see Support NZ Local on there. They're amazing as well. But come on and let's talk to these people that are helping to grow our communities and help to keep these small businesses in business. Love you guys all, and we'll see you back tomorrow.